recording it here, and then I'll just be a minute or so while waiting for something to talk about.
Oh, I'm duo with Shungite the Tracer.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So it looks like we're trying to roll around. All right. I like the rollout they're trying to go for there. Trying to just get them off the high ground.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have to be careful because they are on a ton of stuns, right? They have three, you know, stuns for you, so that's just one thing we're keeping an eye out for. So the one thing I'm noticing is that we're just in between those runs where we're just kind of swinging through and booping them off high ground. We're not really
Yeah.
doing very much, right? Like it kind of seems like actions per minute might be a lower thing at the moment. Like we're just quick explanation. Actions per minute is just making sure we're doing things right. Like you're talking about a
Yeah.
top 500 player, right? They're constantly doing things. They're being efficient with every single moment of their time. Whereas here we're kind of taking a lot of big pauses in between these roll throughs, where we're not really doing very much just because we don't have cooldowns. So maybe like during that time we could just be shooting at stuff. We could be maybe trying to get our health back up. We could, you know, maybe be trying to go for these, make sure we're like scouting so that when we go through these rolls that we're actually hitting things, not just booping nothing off the high ground.
Yeah.
So maybe just a little bit inefficient with the time that we're using. And grabbing health pack, good. Means we have good awareness of our health bar. Alright, we're spending a lot of time on maybe not the best targets for us to be on and shooting at. So just target priority real quick, let's just go over that. But in general, you're not going to want to try to focus the things that are going to be insanely hard for you to kill. So most of the time on any character that you're on, that is, the big one is tanks, right? You're not going to be shooting at tanks. And so far we spent a lot of time shooting at tanks.
Yeah.
Probably over half of the time we've spent so far shooting at something, it's been on tanks. And just keeping in mind that tanks aren't what we want to shoot at. They have 2 to 3 times the health. They have movement abilities. They have tanking abilities, shields. Right on top of that, tanks just don't output the same statistical value that other characters do. Now they are a very, very important role. Right, you're playing a tank. Right, you can carry on tanks, but your job isn't to output statistics. It's for you to create space for the other roles. Right, so DPS do the damage, supports do the healing, tanks create space. So that means therefore that we want to focus the DPS and supports. Now on top of that, Tracer also might not be a very easy target to kill because she's insanely fast, right?
Yeah.
So that's not to say that we never focus Tracer, we never focus tanks, right? We focus them if they're low, we focus them if they're out of position, if they're the only thing to shoot at, but you're going to find that on a character like Ball, very rarely are they going to be the only thing to shoot at because of your insane mobility and your ability to get like on top of anything, right? You pick it as Ball, you get to pick who you're on at almost any moment in the game, right? Whereas like compare that to like a character like Reinhardt, who on Reinhardt it's not like you can instantly get on top of their backline, right? So when you're playing on Reinhardt, that might be a little bit different because on Rein you now aren't able to get to them, and therefore the enemy Reinhardt might be the only thing they're able to swing on, right? So that's the difference, right? But here on Ball, we're spending a large portion of our time just shooting at Zarya, Monkey, Tracer, which those are fine targets to shoot at if they're low, if they're out of position, if they're the only thing to shoot at. But you know, none of those were really the cases in any of these situations, which means that we probably want to be on Ana, Brig, or Soldier, right? Maybe not Brig as much because she has, you know, her stun and whip and her flail and whip, and she has self-healing, right, and all that, right, and a shield. So she might not be the easiest thing to kill, but Soldier and Ana definitely should be the things that we're trying to focus here, right? But we're really not on them very much here. Yeah, it looks like we do have good awareness of our health bar, though. That's really good. Oh! Got the double boop on her there.
Yeah.
Yep, just noticing a lot more just like Tracer, Monkey, Tracer, and now on Zarya. Right, you just kind of see these targets that we're looking at the moment. Give a health pack. Okay, back on Monkey on the front line, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're rolling in, looking for mines probably. Yep, really good setup. Though we left most of our team in the dust. Just keep
Yeah.
in mind that we're looking to go in when our whole team's like ready and able to. Here we go in when probably like especially both of our supports are really far out of position, like not really in the fight at all, which means us and Zarya aren't going to get any heals, right? Hanzo's lagging behind a little bit. Like look at his line of sight. Tracers again, like not anywhere close to following up. So here we just
Yeah.
want to here we engage too early. So we just want to give our team time to go in with us because here we might get some people low with the mine, and we might even kill someone like Brig here. Brig might die to the mines, but anybody who's just low from mines, our team's not gonna be able to capitalize on, right? So just
Yeah.
a little bit too early, making sure that we're paying attention to what's up with our team and paying attention to them so that we can go in with them, not ahead of them, because then we don't really get any kills with the mines. We get one. That was really the grab kill that killed the soldier, right? So mines didn't really do anything. When that was, though, besides the timing of it, that was, and just making sure we're paying attention to our environment, that was a really good setup. I liked the positioning in which we used the mines. I liked how we slammed into it, right? No
Yeah.
problems with just the mechanical setup of it. Okay. Looks like a lot of our slams are just missing their mark. Slam is
Yeah.
a pretty important ability. I'm just gonna keep more of an eye on that, and just wanting to make sure that we're putting a lot of intention and making sure it's actually hitting things, because a lot of the time I'm noticing that like we end up slamming just like right next to people, and it's just too far away to actually do damage. So and actually boop them up in the air. So I'll continue to keep an eye on that, but just that's the thing I'm noticing for the moment. And we probably want to make sure we're actually doing damage, because it's like it does a max 100 damage to everybody around you, right? And then also boops them up in the air, which makes them super easy for you to kill them and teammates to kill them. Okay, coming in shooting a monkey, which like isn't too terrible. It's just not the right target. Okay, I like that we did the roll off slam. That's good tech. Getting healed. You seem to like have a very high survivability, so that's really good. Okay, we went for the Ana there.
Yeah, right here I was just focusing on like tanking the like soldier ult, because he used nanoed and he had
Uh huh.
sights.
Yeah. The one thing I'd be looking for maybe at the moment would be to go for mines at some point here. When do we get the mines? We got it. I just want to see when we. Okay, so we got it right here at this point, right? We're at 98 on it. So I just want to make sure that we're like actually looking to use mines this fight, because we just don't want to hold on to it and then maybe not get a chance to use it, right? So
Yeah.
it does seem like we held on to it for a little bit of time. Like we have it during this whole part. We have it during this, right? This. Now we probably want to get our grapple and slam back, so I'd be waiting like an extra like 3 seconds, right? And then you just go in with it
Yeah.
after the 3 seconds. But here does not seem like we're looking to set up for it. So that'd be something that I'd maybe be looking to do at the moment. Okay, maybe going for it now. Alright, so we do. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to skip there. Again, the timing is slightly late, but so we still go for it. And like, again, it's really good mechanics with it, so for the most part good there. Just maybe could have gone for it slightly earlier in the fight, because if we had, let's say like the nanovisor had gotten value, then that means that we just lost the fight without using our ult. So
Yeah.
there's the possibility in that fight for us to have lost it just because we used it so late. Though of course that wasn't the outcome there. Okay, focusing monkey, right? Just target priority again. All right, waiting. All right, so now they're on a McCree, so they have a little bit more of a counter for us, right? They have 3 stuns again, as well as the bubbles. All right. Once we so this is happening sometimes, like again, where our grapples are a little bit inconsistent. I probably say like so far grapple and slam are looking like just slightly inconsistent. Of course, when you're up at a master's level, that's going to be the case, right? Like when you're playing at that level, like the top 5% of players, you're not gonna have nearly as many mistakes as like a plat player would have, right?
Yeah.
So at the moment, I'm just noting that grapple and slam just once in a while will mess them up, right? Maybe it's like if I put a number on it, we'll maybe mess it up like 2 or 3 out of 10 times that we use it. And then that we just want to look to iron out those inconsistencies, because that's how you especially like when you're like that good at the game. All it is to getting better is just about iron out inconsistencies and getting more efficient with our time. So like just something like this where we kind of just like mess up our grapple because we got booped away here, and then that messed up our grapple to where we're now swinging this way. After that happens, you might want to just let it go, because now they know where you're at, and if we try to roll back in, they're just gonna stun you, right? Which is what's gonna happen, and now we just don't really have any momentum. So we're kind of rolling in there, and we don't have any yeah. The big problem there was that we just re-engaged after they knew the direction of which we were coming. We re-engaged after we had already messed up the grapple, right? Which just meant that we, probably should have just cut our losses and backed up for a little bit, or maybe even just swapped our attention in the front line. We could have maybe like rolled around here, just waited for our grapple to come back. We could have like maybe crawled up this little edge and slammed off, right? Something along those lines. We just didn't want to re-engage from that exact same angle when our grapple wasn't, in a good place. So, just little mistakes that add up when we're doing a lot of tiny mistakes. That's how you get better, is by getting rid of those tiny mistakes. All right, so we have another mines. Okay, where are we at on that? All right, so we just use Pulse. We have Dragon for that, so we don't need to worry about comboing this Zarya. Well, we could probably we wanted to use mines there. So I'm noticing that with mines, especially with, the timing is really the big thing I'd like to work on with mines. Nothing about the mechanics of it though. So let's just explain some of the timing. So first off, when it comes to your ult, we want to make sure that we're just not holding on to it. Now, of course, this is not terrible. With our holding on to it, I've coached plat players who hold on to their ult for 4 fights in a row. By no means is that the case here, but sometimes we do just hold on to it for longer than I would probably hold on to it. And just keeping in mind that most of the time we're going to want to use our ultimate right as the fight is beginning, right? So that not before the fights happen, right? The first one that we used before the fight was even started, right? When our team wasn't ready. And in that case, it just was too early because then our team wasn't able to follow up on it. But we do want to use it.
The fight was starting here.
Yeah. So
I couldn't tell. Like I couldn't.
Yeah. So I'll explain when to know when the fight's starting. So to know when the fight is beginning is when basically a couple different things are happening, right? When both teams are on top of each other, which in this case, you being the main tank, that kind of is going to be on you a lot of the times, is like because you're the one initiating the engagement. It's like when you're on top of them, right? When you're in there brawling, when picks are when picks are flying, right? When you have 2 kills, that's pretty much you guys are winning this fight before the fight's even beginning, or at least have a very significant advantage. And then finally is the just people using ultimates. And also you notice here this is much different than the first fight, because your entire team is within within shooting distance and can help you out here, and you're also up 2 picks originally, right? So imagine this, like that we swung through. Let's just like rewind like just a minute or so here. We have 1 fight left, right? The card's like close enough to where like we win this and this fight, and we pretty much have it. So we're coming back in here. Let's just skip it forwards. Well, all we have to do is here just roll them off high ground, and probably like mine and slam like somewhere right here, right? Just mine like
Okay.
right now and then slam, and then now we've gotten both supports in it. This maybe cuts off the escape route for these guys. Like we're already at a big advantage in this fight because we got a pick and we're about to get two.
Yeah.
This cuts off them from being able to escape. This maybe gets some pit kills, which secures the fight win. And overall, this just means that we're going to be winning this fight. And this is around where the fight's beginning because look at where the tanks are at, right? Their tanks all the way in here. We're all the way inside of them. So this would be a fine situation to use mines, I would say. And
Okay.
so the timing, we just want to make sure we're using it at the beginning of fights. You also notice that just ults that are used first get more value than ults that are used second, right? We can compare
Yeah.
this to like the enemy team. Like let's say the enemy team has a mines as well. If we go in and we use mines, or sorry, let's say they use mines first, right? They use mines first, they get kills, they get picks, they get damage in, and they cut off our team. And therefore, if we try to use mines second, we have less team follow up because we're down players. We're already at a disadvantage, and therefore our
Mhm.
mines just doesn't do as much than the mines that were used first. Now, that's not going to be the case in every situation, but it is a general rule that ults that are used first just generally get more value. On top of that, you're also going to notice that when we hold on to it to like mid or late fight, then by that point we could just already have lost the fight or lost the opportunity, right?
All right.
Okay, so now we're up 2 right now. I know we do get the Gref Dragon going. Probably go like mines the
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's what I did.
Mhm.
I just ulted in front because that's where they're coming from.
Yep, no problem with that. But the other thing we could have done is like if we knew that like if we knew that they're all coming left side, like we can kind of scout it and see where they're coming. We could also maybe mine a doorway as well.
Okay.
Might make it a little bit more. I mean, like both sides. I think honestly both are fine. But especially like if we knew that people were coming out the left door rather than the right door, which I
Yeah.
think 3 people came out the left door first. That might make it a little bit more condensed and blocking specifically where the people are coming from.
All right.
But honestly, that one was fine as well. So let's just skip forward there. That was a pretty solid round for the most part.
Yeah.
So good.
I usually I play like 6 stack.
Um,
This is like this account right here is like my solo queue account.
all right.
So
So
yeah.
what rank are you currently on your 6 account?
Oh, like 3300. That's the
Okay.
3300 account. Yeah.
And then now you're at like 3500 on your solo queue.
Yeah. On my
All right.
solo queue account. Yeah. We haven't played yet on my main. So.
Stop the payload.
Oh, there's a Sombra now.
And I saw they had a Sombra. Yeah, so I got out instantly there.
All right. The big thing is that we're just going to need to be hyper aware of the Sombra. Make sure that when like we try to avoid her, but we can also contest her a lot.
Yeah.
I went through ball gameplay with a ball like a long while ago. Who like we were trying to talk about like on like how to play up against the Sombra, and
Yeah.
on it like basically at super high ranks, Sombra's actually not even a counter to ball. As they are so good at ball that they understand basically how to just cancel our hack, right? You just like
Yeah.
shoot at her, right? Cancel her hack. You go and boop her away, and now she teleports out of the fight, and then you're good, right? In
Yeah.
fact, a lot of the times I was like going over a VOD with over a ball like a contender's ball player, and
Yeah.
he was literally just going and chasing the Sombra down like after she TP'd out and then just rolled the Sombra, right? So it was actually kind of like the opposite way there. So we just want to be very, very aware of her, paying attention. So far, just
I thought she was there,
Mm.
so I just rolled through to spy check, kind of.
yep. All right, so far, just strengths and weaknesses real quick. We are 20 minutes in, so just what I'm noticing so far, like with like kind of the different categories and where you stack with them and how much you need to prioritize working on them. I probably say that in general, your ability usage is looking slightly inconsistent. It's not terrible by any means, and probably none of the being a Masters player, none of your stuff is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But it is inconsistent, just slightly. So we do need to work on that. Probably put that as in comparison to all your other things. Let's put this at like a low to medium for now. We'll maybe, you know, we're only 20 minutes in, so we'll see how it goes. I'm just doing from low. This is a low to high priority list. So
Alright.
that's going in like the low to medium for the moment. Ultimate usage, that is looking like the timing especially needs a little bit more work, so I'd maybe put that like a medium. Target priority, especially mechanics, I'm not seeing any problem with at the moment. Not really any issue. So mechanics wise, the only thing I would say is like target priority. So target priority maybe coming in as a little bit of a higher thing to work on. Like here we're coming in and initially like shooting at the Zarya right again.
Yeah.
So maybe that one would be like in a medium to high priority to work on, and then on from there, Ball doesn't have positioning too much, and like really like the limited positioning that Ball does have, I'm not seeing too much of an issue. So for the I'll still keep an eye on that, but for the moment, I don't even think that's a category for you to work, like even be thinking too much about. And then finally, you have awareness, which so far awareness has actually looked pretty solid. Not not no, by no means do you have bad awareness. So awareness is probably looking like a low for the moment, though. Of course, that is awareness is usually one of the slower boils that you kind of takes a longer amount of time to diagnose that one. So we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's rewatch this for a second. So we come through, we're spy checking for the Sombra. We're just spy checking real quick. Spy checking real quick.
Oh yeah, she was right there, but I just
Just
she
barely
wasn't in
missed
the
it.
hallway. Yeah.
All right. I think we might talk. All right. Oh, very close.
Yeah.
Okay, so our team's down here. Probably pretty likely that we die. Yep. All right, so let's just rewatch this here. I'm trying to look at how we're approaching at the moment. Just see how that's looking. It's going up the side. All right, so approaches again maybe looking slightly inconsistent. So the one thing I would say with our approach is just making sure that whenever possible we're trying to come up from the side or from behind rather than coming from the frontal angle, which looking at the last fight, we did come from the front, right? We were kind of, instead of
Yeah.
approaching from the side or from behind, we were coming in from the front, which you're going to have a ton of disadvantages when coming in from the front. Mainly the biggest one being when you're coming from the front, you don't have any surprise, right? No surprise
Yeah.
advantage at all. When you're coming in from the front, right? Like let's say that'd be like if we were sitting right here and we're just rolling straight in. This means that they have a ton of time to shoot at us, so that means we're taking extra damage. They have a ton of time to line up stuns, which means that we're getting stunned more. We have no surprise advantage when we're coming in from like the side from behind. We have a surprise advantage most of the time, right? Unless they're just paying attention to us, right? Which means that we get away with more. We're probably going to get stunned less, damage less, right? And then on top of that, it creates a crossfire effect to where our teams go, or basically their team is going, who do we shoot at, Baller or their team? And if they choose to all focus us, then that means that we're probably going to get melted, but it also means that no one's looking at our team and our team gets free reign. If they don't look
Yeah.
at us at all, then we get free reign, right? And then
Yeah.
in that, they're not going to be communicating this because it's an uncoordinated environment, and even in a coordinated environment, it's not going to be perfect. So ultimately, they're just in the crossfire effect. They're going to be losing value as they're being confused over who to shoot at. So coming in from the side or from behind confuses them, whereas if it just came in through main, then they don't really have to change who they're all looking down main anyways, right?
Yeah.
So just a couple different things with our approach. That would be like really the on ball. One of the only things that you really have with positioning is just making sure coming in from the side and from behind. Here, this is perfectly fine, but in the last fight, we had come in from the front, which has just meant that we got shredded, as we saw.
Yeah.
All right. You're not going to be able to do too much against the Genji. We can, I guess we're
Yeah.
trying to boop him and slam him, but especially like we kind of have to identify like where is he at. It's pretty unlikely that like when he's up there that we're gonna be able to get a solid like boop in, right? I'd say that's a pretty hard boop to try to land on him. Now, like let's say your whole team is like where Ana is. Well, that's maybe an easier boop to land because all you have to do is just go like swing through your team, right? But when you're having to
Yeah.
go like up on an angle here, that becomes a very difficult boop to land as well as the slam. So, and by that time he's probably gone. So just kind of identify: can I go for this? Can I not go for this? Is kind of the awareness of it. And in this situation, knowing that we probably can't. We're not going to really have much of a. We also don't have slam at the moment. That's the other thing to pay attention to. We're 6 on slam. When we can't really affect the Genji very much, we're probably going to be better off just distracting their team, because now when we go into their team, this means that Genji doesn't have any team support if they're all looking at us, right? Which means that
Yeah.
now our team has a better chance of killing the Genji, right? So us going in and distracting all of these guys means that our team has a better chance of survival against the Genji than if we're trying to go in on the Genji and just unsuccessfully try to chase him down, right? Which here we do try to unsuccessfully chase him down, and then we don't really do anything against them. They dive in just fine, and then they get 2 kills, maybe 3 on the Zarya. Yep, 3 on the Zarya. So they just kind of tear our team apart, whereas us stopping their Genji and Monkey from getting heals, distracting the Zarya, maybe even distracting the Monkey there, which would allow, wouldn't allow for Monkey to be Monkey had a big part there with it, with like helping the Genji out with the dives, right? Gave Genji a bubble,
Yeah.
helped get in extra damage on those dives when Genji was going out on people. So just us being a distraction, which that's essentially what Ball is. Like that's, we talked about creating space. That's how Ball creates space, and it's a really unique play style that like really no other tank has. Which like Ball just being a disruptor, right? He's in there to distract and create space in that way, which is
Yeah.
almost at the moment one of the best ways to create space as a tank, right? They probably wanted to back up a little bit for some reason. I think we like swung around there for some reason.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, like there we kind of like we could have like just swung and just gone like this, right? Or
Yeah, I should have got
swung
out.
swung and just gone like this, but like instead we like swung around and went back into them. Just
Yeah.
again keeping, like, I don't think that we've had too much of an issue of this, so I'm not going to go super into depth, but just keeping in mind that 1D 1 2 3 4 5 6 is definitely a lost fight, right? So
Yeah.
when we've lost a fight, we just want to look to get out, not re-engage, because then this ends up staggering ourselves, and it means that we just feed them 600 ult charge, and it's ultimately just not going to be good for for us at all, right? But it is going to be good for them. All right. Gives us less time as well to set up for maybe a mines. Here we're coming in, probably going to be looking for a mines.
Oh, here I think we got like shit on. We actually just, yeah, the Zarya just grabbed all of us.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. You can't use mines while in grav. That's weird.
You can, but using it there, I thought it was a
You
waste.
can't. You
Cause
can't. Oh, we got hacked. Sorry. That confused me. We got hacked, and I was like, grav cancels mines. What?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we got hacked right there. Okay. That confused me for a moment.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Whereas comparing this to what a possibility, right, which is going to be what we're doing a lot here, right? Because we of course can't tell the future, but let's say as a alternative, we had gotten out last fight. Well, now we're over on this angle, and we had time to set up. Whereas, like, coming out top left, of course, is going to be the most dangerous place for us to go, right? Because this is a tiny little choke point where we're all funneled through this. It's very, very easy for them to damage us here and
Yeah.
grab us and hack us, right, and EMP us from here. Whereas if we came out bottom right, which we can't do if we're staggering ourselves because we didn't have enough time to make it all the way down there, right? But if we
Yeah.
are starting out back here, well, now we can just sneak out here, maybe do a wrap around. We can do whatever from here. We can come up to the high ground, ult and then slam, or we can just come out from this door where nobody's looking at us, just grapple and ult and slam, right? Just we have a bunch more options where now we're just not being the immediate thing that's grabbed and hacked and ulted on, and it's again coming from not the main angle but from a side angle. So
Yeah.
there, us staggering was the big thing which caused us to essentially lose that fight. Was just because we staggered, we lost that opportunity to go on that better angle, right? So
Mhm.
we just want to make sure when the fight, so that our mistake last fight kind of impacted us this fight. Alright, then we never got an opportunity to ult there. Let's keep skipping. Here we probably still... Okay, so there looks like tanks are top right room. Use that time to reload, right? No reason not to just reload during that time. You know, anytime you have a lull in time, just Genji's deflecting, you just reload. Team's getting super aggro. Like, pay attention to where your team is. You can see them through walls, right? And you know you have 4 people in there. Yet we're kind of like the last one to push through, right? And we kind of like sit in there when we could have just gone in. Okay, like the slam. That's really good timing. Good ults. Phil, let's look at that one more time. Sorry, because maybe I spoke too soon with All right. So here probably would have been. Let's see, which way does Brig back out from? She backs out that way. Yeah. Honestly, I don't see too much of an issue with that one. I think we cut off the monkey, we cut off the Brig. That allows us to kill them, right? So it's kind of more of a zoning ult than anything else. All right, so monkey dies as a result. Brig hopefully dies here. Okay, maybe not. No problems at all. Yep. A lot of the times, I'd probably like to see us setting up behind them. So, like, for example, there, like, as soon as we booped them back, right, we can just, like, roll over here, right, and just set up behind them. And hopefully, like, you know, we can do this to where no one can see us, right? Like, I don't know if we go back here, like, can any of them see us if we went through here? So, just roll through. Like if we just like keep going here, like we don't really we probably count on them not doing a ton of communication in ranked, but you know Samar didn't see us here, so we could just like end up rolling up behind them, and then that you know means that we have the backwards setup to be able to come in on them. Like, you just roll them from behind. Like, let's say we just, like, let them come in through the choke here in the next fight, and we just, you know, roll up through them. Oh, Sommer's all the way up here. You know, we roll up behind them, slam them down. This puts them in a, you know, maybe pretty poor position while also getting in a ton of group damage, right? While also getting the surprise advantage from being behind them, right? The other option we have here is just, you know, coming back up and setting up where we could maybe, like, use a grappled position, like, up here or over here on the high ground, and then just do it from one of the high grounds, or we can roll around and just, like, you know, be set up to where, like, we're right here. This is another pretty good option because, like, then we can have them, again, walk through, drop behind them, and then do it again. Right, just a couple different options here that we can go for. We probably just don't want to do it straight down main.
Okay.
So it looks like we're coming top left. Which I would just say is like out of all the options we talked about is probably, even though it's better than going straight down main, probably the most predictable one, right?
Yeah.
And then that means it's just the easiest from the bash. Okay, now we're going around, right? Oh no, we don't. I think that's a good idea. Because McCree was there, they're all gonna be looking at it. Oh, trying to get up there.
Yeah, I think I do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Slightly, just make sure that we're positioning in between fights, because notice that we're doing that positioning like as the fight's starting. So that means two things. First off, they all saw us do it, right?
Yeah.
So now that they all saw us do it, this is no longer a surprise angle, because this is an annoying sound. Because they all saw us do it, this is no longer a surprise angle, and therefore they're just going to be able to shoot at us and stun us, the same as if we just walk down main, or not the same, but a little, you know, pretty much the same as if we just walk down main. And then the second thing is that now we don't have like our grapple cooldown, right? Because we're doing it in the fight. So we just want to make sure when we're doing this rotation that it's in between fights, not right as the fight's beginning. So we just want to make that decision faster. Good tracking and mechanics, though. All right. If you see your whole team's going up there, we might want to go and join them, right? Just a quick, you know, quote from Jane. You know, you probably know him, right? He's an Overwatch League coach, professional streamer, right? He says that when one person's doing something stupid, that's called feeding. When 6 people are doing something stupid, that's called a strategy, right? So if you went up there and did this on your own and your whole team was sitting back here on point, that would be you feeding, because now you're going in on your own and you're going to get shreked. But if your entire team's up there, then you want to go join them, because now this is of strategy, and you not joining in is actually probably going to be more of a disadvantage to your team. I just noticed you have Gohan. I wonder if that's my Gohan. I was on a team with somebody named that, but he's a DPS player. No, that doesn't look like his. Maybe it is. I don't know. But in any case, yep, just want to be up with their team and being pushing forwards if they're push forwards, right? Pushing back if
Yeah.
they're pushed back, because if they're all pushing forwards and we don't do, and we just sit in the back, then that's essentially as if we're just putting them down a player, right?
Yeah.
Summer, I don't even know what the Summer's been doing. She hasn't really been doing very much since like first point here. Where's she
Yeah, I
at?
was looking for her. I was
Yeah.
like, where is she?
She's
She's still sitting
I
there.
think she's waiting for the EMP. I think she's just waiting for the team to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going for an EMP. Nanoblade maybe. Did we have a? Yeah. Okay. So she just hacked something and went for it. So you can just see that this is a good example of like just the ult first gets advantage thing, right? They come in with first
Yeah.
with Nanoblade, and then now they just roll through you before we even get a chance to Dragon, Rally, or Nano, right? So
Yeah.
just ulting first is gonna get kills and therefore win the fight. So that's just a good example of it, and then that's how we want to look to apply ours. So like just a good way to like be able to counter that, it would be to us go in and ult first, right? That way, or, I mean, we don't have ult. I'm just saying as a team, right? Have our
Yeah.
team go in first and use our ults before they get a chance to use it, and then that maybe just means that we've gotten picks and then Genji has less follow up with them, or something of the like. Also, probably should have rallied, but maybe she got hacked or something. I didn't see who Summer hacked there. Oh, probably don't want to be engaging right now. So I think that's fine for you to be sitting behind them, but we probably just want to wait here until our team's ready. Maybe don't reveal your position too much, but the problem here is that we're engaging when we're down everyone, which probably we should not be doing, because this is a recipe for getting stunned and shredded down your health, and then now we're gonna end up staggering once again, possibly. Maybe we get out. Nobody gets, and then
Yeah, I
we
died.
stagger, right? So we just make sure we're not engaging when it's usually just as a rough, rule of thumb. You can do 1v2s, but you can't really do 1v3s or plus, right? 1v3,
Yeah.
1v4, 1v5, 1v6, not usually going to work out too well for you. So if we're down our team, make sure we're not going in, right? Just as a quick, honestly, I don't think, again, I think you understand this for the most part. It's just that we're making some dumb decisions. So I'll just walk through this real quick, but just how to tell whether or not you've won or lost a fight is making sure we're paying attention to kill feed. When you are up 1-2, that's an advantage or a disadvantage, or sorry, yeah, up or down 1-2, right? Is an advantage or disadvantage. You play aggressive or passive accordingly, right? You didn't win or lose the fight yet. When you're up 2-3 or down 2-3, that is a won or lost fight, right? In this instance, we are down, pretty much our entire team while they're all walking back in spawn here. So this is a lost fight until we get our team back. So therefore, when we've lost the fight, we no longer want to use ults, of course. Same thing in a one fight. You don't use ults in a one lost fight. And on top of that, we want to look to get out if possible, which out to their side is also an option here, right? Just get out to their side. Also, if not, then you just let them kill you so they don't end up staggering yourself, right? And then most of the time on ball, because of your very high mobility, you're going to be able to make it out. There, we just decided to go back in, right? Which is, don't go in without your team. And then this also goes the other way, right? When you've won a fight, you just want to look to get super, super aggro to go in and get stagger kills, right? And I assume you're familiar with the term staggering.
Yeah.
Yep, so we just want to make sure we're not doing that, because now we're dying super, super late, feeding them 600 ult charge, didn't really get much accomplished, and then now we're coming back into this fight after the fight's begun, right? We're coming out here when ults are being popped. This is the beginning of the fight, right? Ults are being popped on both sides, Monkey's in on top of the team, Sambra's behind, right? This fight is beginning, and we're not there in any good positioning at all, and not even there participating. Samra looks like she's about to EMP, maybe? Right? Good minds, at least good timing with it. Okay, yeah, okay. We do have a dragon here, so that's so we've had a combo for the grab every time, though I'm not just keeping in mind that if we didn't have the dragon, it might be a good idea to save our minds for the combo with the grab, though of course we might have already been thinking about that. I'm not saying. Alright, so we got hacked there and slept, but we stalling it out. Let's see. Yeah, so we just got stunned by Ton, probably being in a better position. That again in that fight would have been better for you, because then that means we're coming in maybe not getting stunned, slept, tacked, right?
Yeah.
Is maybe the better outcome there. Oh, nice boop and slam. So that's the type of thing that you can do if you're actually able to, right? So that's a really really good way to just mess Genji up with his ult. Like, even if you don't end up killing him out of it, that's just how you get him off of your supports, and then you, like, as a Genji person who's played Genji a lot, even just like stunning him or booping him can really really mess up the blade, because then you get rid of his dash reset, and then now he has to like run at people rather than dashing at them, right?
Yeah.
Possibly going in here when we're too low HP. Let's rewatch that, right? We get a slash, we get another slash. We're sitting at purple 400 HP. This might be a time where we maybe just like sit here and shoot at stuff and then wait to get healed, or maybe even roll around and grab the health pack real quick before we're re-engaging. But I think we're re-engaging here at a little bit too low of HP, and then we might see ourselves die because of it. So we're re-engaging when we're at 300 HP, right?
Yeah.
Half HP, maybe not the HP that we're trying to re-engage at, and we also like stay in here after we roll through, right? Which means that possibly getting shredded here. Oh, we got out with 30 HP. If Soldier just turned around and shot at you like once there, we'd be dead.
Yeah.
So just pretty risky. All right. Be careful about being too predictable. If we go to the exact same spot every single time,
Yeah.
that becomes predictable, and then they're able to go, okay, ball check top left, ball's probably going to be top left, right?
Yeah.
So mix it up, right? Come top left the first time, and then go go top right the first time, then go top left, and then go behind them, and then you can just do it again, come top right again.
Yeah.
Just don't do it 3 times in a row, because then they're like, now Sombra's gonna know where you are a lot easier. She can hack you, and like she can just do a play where she's like, hey guys, ball sitting top right, I'm gonna hack them and just shred them, right? And then they just
Yeah.
come out and do that, or they can just, they're gonna be prepared for you, and then you're just gonna come out and then get stunned by 2 people and then hacked, and then boom, you're dead. So we just want to make sure we're not doing the same thing over and over again, but we're mixing it up because we don't want to be predictable.
Yeah, I heard Sombra here. He was like close. I heard his like setup.
Yep. Honestly, top, and then like the other thing to keep in mind is like this is also like if we engage from here, this is like pretty far back. Like our whole team would need to be like in position for it. Whereas like if we let them walk in further until they're like right here, and then we came up, like for example, let's say we were like hiding here and we came up
Yeah.
behind, like just dropping from that high ground, right, and just rolling through and then slamming or something like that along those lines. Now that's putting them in a closer range to where your team's at, right? And allows them
Yeah.
to capitalize and follow up with it a little bit easier than if we're coming from like that far away. So again, I guess positioning is becoming more of a thing to like to talk. Let me to figure out how to word this. So positioning is looking like, as we've gone through it a lot, it is looking like it's becoming more and more a thing to be concerned about. So that one I probably put it as kind of like a medium category to work on, medium priority. Target priority maybe not seeming like as big of an issue, because we're rather than it being all the time, it's looking like it's just inconsistent. So
Yeah.
you kind of that's where we get into like the priorities, right? You kind of have the scale where like on one end of the scale you're absolute garbage at something, on the other end of the scale you're very fantastic at something, and then straight in the middle you have inconsistent, and then you have different levels of inconsistent. Like you could be like slightly inconsistent, which means you're more towards on the fantastic side, or you could be really inconsistent, which is more towards the trash garbage side, right?
Yeah.
Whereas here I'd probably say we're probably inconsistent, just flat up in the middle for our positioning, which means that now that's like kind of a medium priority to work on, right? So that's just walking through the logic, like and reasoning behind it. Whereas so far, I probably because it's not been as consistent with the target priority, I'd probably lower that slightly and put that. I think we had that like a medium high before. Maybe I put that like at a medium, or along those lines. I think we had a medium high before. So maybe less is not happening as terribly as before. We're not on tanks nearly as often. Okay, coming in from the frontal angle, right? Just we're sitting really far back here.
I was scared of I don't know what I was scared of, honestly. I think I was scared of EMP, but I was not.
Okay, well, we just want to make sure we're being, like, that just being aware of the fact that they used the last fight. I don't think we don't have too much time to go into it, and I'm not even sure if you'd be interested in going over like just ult tracking and stuff like that. But that
Yeah.
it's real simple to go, okay, last fight they used EMP. I don't need to worry about an EMP, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, you don't have to be too worried about that. Okay, so we're up 2 already. Sitting real far back here again. That fight would play just a little bit passive. All right.
I think I'm just alt tabbing like when I'm standing still like this.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing, but
What are you all tabbing to go do?
I don't even know.
Alright, looking for mines here probably. Okay. When the grapple isn't necessary, don't use the grapple, because then that just means that you don't have a way to escape, right? You want, whenever possible, you just don't want to use grapple to engage, so you can use it to get out. So for example,
Yeah.
here, we could have literally be doing the exact same thing if we just like, we're here and then we just rolled off the high ground, right? Exact same thing, except for it's just not requiring the ult, or the ability, right? Which means that we now have grapple if we get stunned, and then now we have to back up or we low HP. So that's just, if there's nothing to jump off, then of course use the grapple. But in this situation, we just have a ledge that's like right next to us, right? That we could have just rolled off of. So
Yeah.
just make sure we're using that. Good timing and positioning with that. So most of them have been looking better. So again, maybe I'd, yeah, maybe. I don't know where I put that before. Maybe I put that as medium high, so maybe they just go down to a medium. I don't remember necessarily where I put them beforehand. All right. Nice. All right. So we have. I'm trying to think here because usually I use like the last 8 minutes to do a review, but we don't have. We have like 3 more minutes that we could use for replay. I don't know if you like to
I
just
have
go to the
another
review
one.
or do like 3 minutes of a replay. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think we could skim through. Like I have this other game.
All right.
So.
Yeah. Let me get that up. But yeah, for the last 8 minutes, we'll do the review and then go over the main points of what we were talking about and then wrap up the session from there. So we are F8, circle, skip. Alright, so we see Widow going on her instantly here. Very nice. Good chase down. Oh, solid damage in there. Good decision to back out. Though I'd say maybe we got slightly too aggressive after we used our abilities there. Like after we rolled through and slammed, we kind of like ran into them.
Yeah.
Whereas just keeping in mind, like pay attention to team comps there, they had like an Ana and a Kree, which with me that's like 2 stuns for us. So we just have to be very careful about getting that aggro.
That was just a weird grapple. I don't know what else.
Yeah. Okay, here, let's rewatch this real quick. We slam, get the kill. Gotta watch our health bar, because at the moment we're half HP, and we're rolling through. And then we just get shredded down our HP. At the very minimum, if we see that we're that low, we just shouldn't even be shooting, because here we die, like, we die, and of course depths aren't very good. Now we haven't died too much, survivability has been really good so far, but when we do die, we just want to take a look at it so we can look to cut them out, because that was a mistake, right? We engaged when we were too low, so just make sure we're paying attention to our health bar there. So we're not engaging when we're half HP, and when they all know which direction we're coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe want to be coming in. That's okay. Why is Widow constantly like inside of you guys? What is she doing?
I don't know. This is my game, like one game away from master too.
Yeah.
So I don't know why she's playing like that.
Probably just like um just plopping your mines in on top of them. So like this would split them up, make it so that they can't, like, for example, like it split up like the Ana and the Widowmaker prefer, like, probably here, right? If we just, like, for example, like let's say we rolled in and then just mined them in this little corner here. Well, that splits them
Yeah.
up. It also creates essentially more tanking, if that makes sense, because you can, like, hide inside of your mines and now less people, like, you're taking less damage, right? While
Yeah.
also possibly dishing out more damage here. So don't feel like we necessarily need to do a slam setup. Most of the time slam setups are going to be really, really good, and I do encourage going for slam setups, especially, like, for when I coach lower ranked players who never slam when they go for ults. But here,
Yeah.
just keep in mind that you don't need to do the slam setup. If you have a really good opportunity, like here, we probably just could plop it like right, like anywhere right in between them or on top of them, and then that's doing damage, doing tanking for yourself, separating them so that Ana can't heal Widow, or Widow can't damage you, right? And then we're 1 HP. Okay, yeah, that probably be the big thing there.
And then here, I think I just mine. Yeah.
Just checking to see. Yeah, it looks like we have a decent amount of people here, so we're engaging in a good time. Good minds. Wrong person. We're F8 now. All right, and then let's get to, that was, fast, but sorry, we'll get to the review now. Okay. So, oh, it's not actually stayed in there a little bit too long. Now we're running out of time, so I'll try to be fast about this. So, ball, inconsistent abilities. So just with a grapple, make sure not, getting stuck on stuff. Sometimes we'd be like, do this and like have to swing back around, and we'd do this again, and we just get stuck on a corner, and we like kind of lose our momentum. So just getting consistent with that. Don't hold on to a grapple after it's kind of irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
Like after, like, it's not really gonna do anything. So like if we like get stuck around here and we see like, oh snap, I didn't do anything with it, don't just like hold on to the grapple after it's not doing anything, right? We just want to make sure we're letting it go so we can actually go out and do more things.
Yeah.
Slam.
Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I think it's like a bad habit. I watch a lot of Ball. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, Paul the ball player.
Yeah, on the US, and he like holds onto his grapples like for a long time sometimes. So I don't know. I was like, maybe I'll try that, and then it's just kind of like been a thing that kind of stuck.
Yeah, I'd imagine that. I mean, I don't watch too much of his gameplay, though I would imagine it's very situational. And if the ball, like, if the grapples actually, if you feel like you're going to get value out of keeping it there consistently, but if you don't feel like it's gonna do anything, then you might want to just let go of it, right? Now, slam, again, just a little bit inconsistent. Like, sometimes you just would end up missing people or, and whatnot with it. So just make sure we're concentrating on hitting people. Those weren't very inconsistent. It was just a little bit. Like, we just mess it up like 2 or 3 times out of 10. We just want to make sure we're getting them down to be more consistent, because that's all about getting better. Besides that, no problem with our shield usage. And then just making sure sometimes that when we're low HP, we're not de-meching or whatever you call it. Like, I don't even know what the changeling. I don't know what's the ability called.
Crab.
Crab.
Yeah, it's called crab mode.
Crab mode. All right. Well, I'll keep that in mind then. Crab mode. Yeah, just make sure we're not crab moding when we're 1 HP. And then besides that, not too much. So moving on to ultimates, make sure really the big thing was the timing of it. Make sure that we're going in with it, at the beginning of fights, not so early that your team's not able to follow up on it. Make sure they're in line of sight to be able to help you out, but also not so late that they end up getting the advantage, or they end up ulting first, or you're already lose the fight before you get a chance to use it, right? So just we want to make sure you're using it at the very beginning of a fight, right? Or even slightly into it, right? So just beginning to mid, right? Not mid to end, not to before the fight's begun. And then that was the big main thing. Also, if it's last fight, don't be afraid to just go in and ult, like, for example, like when we were up 2 picks and there's 1 fight left, right? Besides that, no real problem with the rest. Also, just keeping in mind that one other thing at the end there where we were like, okay, you don't always need to slam, and then on top of that, just use it. You can use it like body block. Like if you just mine here, that's just soaking up a lot of damage for us, while also separating people and then possibly doing damage to them, right? Now, moving on to mechanics, make sure you're getting headshots. This wasn't something we talked too much about, but I was just maybe I maybe should have paid attention to it, but I maybe wasn't noticing enough of them, especially like after we slammed in on people. So just make sure we're
Okay.
intentionally going for headshots. So that means that we're just keeping good crosshair placement, which is just making sure that we're keeping our crosshair at head level, so that headshots just become natural. If we're coming around the corners and whatever, and we're demeching, we're aiming here, then we're just going to be aiming there. But if we're aiming at head level, then we just come out and we're already aiming there, right? Same
Yeah.
thing like when we slam, right? We're pre-aiming up in the air where we know they're going to be at head level. So we slam, we're looking up at head level. I was a little bit slow there, but aiming up at head level so when we can just track them down by the head.
Okay.
Besides that, the big things of the mechanics were two other things. First off, target priority, making sure we're not shooting at tanks and or like hard targets to kill like Tracer, but we're focusing the things that we can easily kill, right? And then on top of that, making sure that we are just actively trying to focus them down. But we focus tanks and Tracer if they're low, if they're out of position, right? If they're the only thing to shoot at. But if not, we try to focus the things that we can kill easily, and the ones that get the most statistical value. Now moving
Okay.
on from there, the other thing was just actions per minute, making sure like sometimes we just kind of sit around, not really do much, just making sure that we're trying to constantly be doing something.
Okay.
Moving on to positioning. The big thing with positioning, or two kind of things, was first off, make sure we're not coming in from the frontal angle, right? We're not just doing this the entire time, because that's just going to make it super easy for them to know where we're coming from, to stun us, to damage us, and we're just going to be taking more stuns and damage, as well as not creating a crossfire effect. Whereas most of the time, we're going to want to come in from the side, so like coming in from the right or the left or from behind even, right? Probably the sides are going to be slightly better than behind, but I mean behind also does have his options, and timing where it's really good, right? But this gets us a surprise advantage. It means that we're not getting stuns and damage as much. It means that we get a crossfire effect, right? So a bunch of advantages from that. And
Yeah.
then finally moving on to awareness, right? Awareness, making sure we're paying attention to our health bar, so we're not going in when we're low HP, right? And we're just making sure we're getting healed or requesting healing or grabbing health packs, right, before we're re-engaging. Making sure, honestly, awareness wasn't too terrible, but making sure, again, we're paying, this is the other big one, paying attention to whether or not you're winning or losing a fight. When we're, just as a quick refresher, 1 to 2 is a won or lost fight, or sorry, I got that wrong. 1 to 2 is a advantage or disadvantage. You play aggressively or passively accordingly. 2 to 3 is a won or lost fight. No ults in won or lost fights. That wasn't your problem, though. And then also just make sure we're looking to get super aggro when we've won a fight. Sometimes you just play passive after we've won a fight. And then also when you have lost a fight, look to get out if possible. And if you can't get out, let them kill you. Sometimes you would just re-engage. The big one is that we would either stay in too long or we would re-engage when we've lost the fight, right? Make sure that we're not going in when we don't have our teammates available, right? That was the big one when it came to awareness. Then besides that, I think that is pretty much it. Pay attention to Sombra, right? So we're not getting caught out by her. But honestly, the Sombra didn't do a very good job of contesting us, I don't think.
Yeah.
So that wasn't very I didn't really have any much content to go over there because Sombra was just never hacking us, unless we were already stunned. In any case, that's it. So main points. Number one, we're probably. Let me think about that real quick. Number one, honestly, I'd probably put at positioning,
Okay.
as that is gonna lead to your, lead to a loss in effective, you being able to do things effectively, right? When you're in poor positioning like that. And also, sorry, one other thing was just making sure we're not being predictable. I forgot to mention that, right? Just make sure we're not doing the exact same positioning over and over again, right?
Yeah.
And then, that got us. Killed a couple times, right? Besides that, number two, I would put at probably mechanics. Number three, I would put at ultimate usage. Number four at awareness, and number five at ability usage. Quite honestly, a lot of those are very, very close together, so it could go in any which order, especially if I saw more gameplay and they in that gameplay it went a different direction. I could very easily see it be tipping the scales because they're very, very close to being even. The only one I would say is just maybe not in the same league as your ability usage. Your ability usage is just a slight little thing, whereas most of the others are kind of medium, right? So
Okay.
ability usage is like a low priority. Everything else is like a medium priority. And just the big thing is just make sure you're picking one thing and working on that rather than just trying to go over everything all at once, right? Um,
Okay.
so any questions about anything we've talked about?
No.
All right. So
I
then,
think that was yeah.
yep. I'm gonna